It's the Fallen in the Forest podcast again. I love that lo-fi when it starts. This is important to me. I don't know when the last time I recorded one of these is. I know y'all thought that this was going away, that it wasn't going to keep happening, that I stopped, that I fell off. Because y'all wanted to see that, because y'all really some nasty motherfuckers, and it's not my fault that you're like this. I don't know who put all this negativity into the air, and I don't know why I'm projecting so hard right now, because no one has ever said any of these things to me. It's really been nothing but love, but I need to psych myself up because I'm a sicko, and so it helps me to preemptively decide that you guys are against me, because I'll feel like that anyway because I'm mentally ill. But we're back. We're back. Another legendary opening. We still calling it the FAF podcast. We just are. I don't think that's ever going to catch on, but I definitely feel like FAF, nigga, is very important for me to say when we start one of these podcasts. So Fallen in the Forest family, I'm sure that there is no family anymore. I'm sure that I have to rebuild a listener base from scratch, but that's fine. I appreciate y'all for sticking with me. Anybody who's listening to this episode that's been waiting on an episode to come out. Everything in the world has happened since I last did one of these. We can have some real talk for a second, right? A lot of great things have happened in life, and some negative things have happened in life, right? Like May was May. If you notice, probably like around May, these episodes kind of slowed down. May was a really tough time for me. A lot went left, a lot went wrong. Probably one of the biggest of which was I lost the man that raised me. I lost my pops. Not my biological pops, because I'll speak about my biological pops, and I don't want any confusion. But this is the man that raised me, the man that I grew up calling dad. Man by the name of Marshall Herman Watts, who's is my dad, and was incredibly important to me, and really was the first real, familial loss that I experienced, somebody who I was that close to. I lost one of my great grandmothers, and I've lost people in the past, but just nothing can prepare you for. And again, it's not even something that maybe you could say that nobody had ever seen coming. Right, he had health issues and things of that nature, but obviously nobody expected to lose him, and nobody expected to lose him in the way that we did. And even as things progressed, and as a family, we tried to prepare ourselves for what could be the worst, while not expecting it. There's nothing like it. And it totally changed the way that I interacted with a lot of things. It totally changed my enthusiasm for a lot of things. Again, this was bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. Other bad things happened that I won't get into too much here, because I just feel like, I've wanted for a long time to get off my chest in the Fallen in the Forest format, how much we are all going to miss my dad, Marshall. But like I said, a lot of really great things have happened. I for the first time in my life, I got to meet my biological father, right? Shout out to Walter, shout out to Big Stretch. You know what I'm saying? My girl and I took a trip to Jamaica, which is my fatherland, Trinidad being my motherland. If you know anything about me, which you probably don't, because why would you? I'm the son of two West Indian immigrants, one being from Trinidad and Tobago. That's my mother and my mother's side of the family. We're from Trinidad by way of Grenada. Originally, I found out. On my maternal side, right? There's and then I'm Jamaican on my dad's side, right? So I'd been in Trinidad when I was younger, but I'd never been in Jamaica. And for my birthday, my girl took me to Jamaica, and it was really, really, really amazing to have somebody care about you enough to do something like that for you, and to be able to share the experience of meeting so much of my family. I'm talking about I met my sister, not Madison, who's been on the podcast, who y'all know, who's the sister that I grew up with. But like I met my older sister. I met two of my older brothers that I never met before. I met my dad. I got to spend a lot of time with one of my uncles, who's always a good fucking time, President David. And I could not, have asked for a better way to come out of the space that I had been in recently. It definitely feels much different. I'm very withdrawn. I'm very inward. When things go wrong, it becomes harder for friends to contact me. Really no one other than Biggs had seen me with any regularity for most of the summer. It just was what it was. And it had to be that way for me personally. Right. So we back. And, there's a lot that's going on. We learned something that I'm not sure we needed to be put onto, that maybe many of us could have guessed. With respect, that this is not that. Listen, I'm not the guy that makes these podcasts about celebrities. Y'all know that. But sometimes things happen that I don't know what y'all want me to do, because it ties into so many other things that we just have to speak on it. Diddy's a nasty nigga. I have felt fairly certain for a long time that Diddy was a nasty nigga. I think you can look at him and tell. I'm sorry, I'm not here to cast aspersions. Well, I am now, because now it's cool. Like, we can do that. Like, we know that Diddy's really shitty, so we can cast aspersions now. But this was not my intention from the jump, and I don't even know how I would 100% feel about everything, because I'm not abreast on every little fucking detail. What I will say is there's some things that I'm hearing that are just wrong, that you can't do. But I think that this touches on the third rail subject that has been like brewing and looming in the background of modern American culture, especially in the last like 5-10 years. We are simply becoming a country that is more aware and willing to speak about issues that I think we just kind of took for granted or took as par for the course before. Like that, like, not saying that we have now reached this level of like, now we're intelligent enough to understand these things. No. People have been writing about these things for decades. People have been speaking about these things for generations. And if you've been listening to the right people and reading the right people and in the right rooms, then you have heard these things way long, like a longer time ago than 5 years, a longer time ago than the Me Too movement. Like, right? But we are in a world where a good amount of people are being called to the carpet. You're being held accountable. That's a different world. A guy like Diddy, for the longest amount of time, has been moving around with impunity, and powerful people, powerful men in particular, when we're talking about the type of stuff we're talking about right here. Not saying that powerful women can't do things like this. I'm just saying the pattern. Powerful men tend to abuse the power, especially in some really freaky, nasty, take advantage of people type of ways. Sometimes aggressive displays of violence and machismo, brandishing weapons where you shouldn't be, where it's not necessarily legal for you to have them, beating the dog shit out of a young woman who you parade around like a show pony. That's always been kind of a weird, strange relationship, but that at the end of the day seemed to have been largely consensual. And like, you don't want to infantilize Cassidy or Cassie. I always say her name wrong because, quite frankly, I don't care about her personal life. I do care that she was assaulted by Diddy in a hotel. That must be one of the most fucking terrifying things. Like, seeing Diddy in a towel running down the hall, that's got to be like seeing Pennywise. Like, that's crazy, bro. Like, she thought she snuck out of the room while he was asleep, and he's jogging down the hallway in a towel. And this is why I don't like celebrities, because not because of this, right? Because I don't want to put this on all celebrities, but because like we get so fucking invested. Not we really, because I don't give a fuck, but you guys, right? People, everyone, they get so invested in the fucking nonsense. Remember when Diddy was like, Cat was like, she's lying, and this is like an assault on my character, and da 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 da. You knew that you beat that woman's ass in a hotel. Like, you knew that when you were reading the charges and the accusations, you were like, damn, I did all of that. You like, right? Like, that's reality, right? Reality. You could say, like, you know, for legal purposes, of course he had to deny it and said whatever. But deep down in his heart, he knew he did all that shit, and he got on there and slandered that girl's name and tried to like bury the lawsuit in some real salacious ways, if you ask me. All then to come on and just be like, yo, man, really sorry. That was a dark time in my life. And this is what I can't stand. This is why most people shouldn't write their own statements, and they shouldn't write their own apologies. Like, sometimes I wish I could go into PR, because I feel like I at least would be that motherfucker to be like, it can't be this. It cannot be this, bro. Like, why is this about you? This is my number one problem with people. It's always about you. Like, we just found out that this person is one of your victims. You victimized her. You beat this young lady up. How the fuck is a statement about you? How is it on some like, yo, like, why is it? Because if you think, you gotta read between the lines. This is what talking is. Talking is communication, and people are communicating things that they want to be understood. What is this person saying by the way they're saying what they're saying and by what they're saying? Like, it sounds to me like I'm supposed to feel bad for you because you beat the hell out of somebody. I don't understand these people. And then it's always, then they want to wrap it up with, I'm going to need prayer and this and that and the third. And everybody wants to turn into a prayer warrior when in reality, what Charleston White said, you one of Satan's greatest soldiers. You're a bad guy. You're terrible. You suck. And we should have all known because you made somebody walk across town to get you a piece of cheesecake. Okay, this is the type of person we did and glorified it, right? And that's kind of just like what, right? Like high level executive behavior tends to be, right? And let's be honest, because this is what I want to tie this into a lot of the time. Like a lot of young men, I think that the reason, and young could be 15, young could be my age, young could be 25, 32, whatever the case may be. Young men who have it in their head that they want to amass a lot of power and influence, I think that we have to take a moment and begin to ask ourselves why we want those things. Because some of us, maybe more of us than we'd like to admit, might be shocked at what the answers to those questions really are. Because I can say comfortably that I feel like a great many people that I've known, a lot of them being young men, want a lot of power and influence so that people will stop saying no to them, or so that they can do whatever they want, right? Or so that they can manipulate people. And with the Diddy situation, like that's the part of it that really starts to fuck with me, is like the victimization of people. There's stuff that that is a little more complex, right? Like, I'm a supporter of sex work. I feel like people should be free to engage in sex work if they want to get engaged in sex work. So if a sex worker is okay with being flown to another state to engage in a freak off with Diddy and his people, then like I think that should be their prerogative, right? But technically, by law, like flying a sex worker across state lines for the purpose of working sexually is trafficking. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I feel like if you, but then you're not really declaring it in taxes. It gets complicated. This, if they didn't get you on that, they could get you on other things, right? I get it. It gets real complicated with sex work. It does. But like, or even like the baby oil. Like, listen, that's a lot of baby oil. I'm confused. We're confused. We're all confused about how much baby oil and and where the baby oil came from. And why there's so much of it. But hey, that's not, what is that? Is that just evidence that the freak offs were going on and then we could tie it in? Like, a nigga can have a lot of baby oil in his house. You can make a sound judgment. Like, yeah, if you have 1,000 bottles of baby oil in your house, I think I know what type of guy you are. Like, I think I can surmise that you're Diddy-ish. But like at the same time, we just throw in a lot into this pot of gumbo when I think that the focus should be that Puff is a sick nigga for the things Puff has done to victimize other people, right? But we also got to highlight on a larger scale that I think there's a culture, I know, I'm very aware that there's a culture of abuse in these circles of powerful, wealthy men, right? Where like it's a problem with taking advantage of people that work for you, right? You can't proposition people that work for you in certain ways and have it be a clean deal. It's not. And again, we could raise many arguments. You could go, well, when you're powerful and wealthy, the majority of the women that you interact with and deal with and sleep with are probably going to sleep with you because of the fact you're powerful and wealthy. Okay, that's fine. Then why does it have to be at work? Why does it have to be at work where there could potentially be consequences for somebody not doing what you said? Why are you even opening that door? Right? And again, people either don't consult with their legal teams about anything they do. You just have these people on staff, on hand, and you don't use them, or people don't care. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Diddy had never heard that you're not supposed to be propositioning people that work for you when you're a powerful owner and CEO type of guy. To do certain things that'll put them in a position where they feel like their jobs are going to be in jeopardy if they don't play ball. And stuff with the minors and everything like that, I haven't done too much looking into. There's strange behavior there, though. I don't know if it was Usher, if Usher was just raised by his mom, or if it was Usher's mom and dad. But like, yo, why was 16-year-old Usher living with Diddy? Why? I don't know. Mentorship program? Okay. Weird. Weird is all I'm saying, but maybe that's not as weird as I think it is. Maybe it's just, you know what I mean? Like, yo, they stay with me, but they don't stay with me type shit and all that. But Usher has been on camera admitting that he was witness to things that he shouldn't have been witness to. And this is another thing. The Diddy thing crosses so many different avenues because it just involves so much of like what is encouraged for, I can only speak for what I know. What is encouraged in a lot of hetero cis men, like we're just, it's like, yo, this is we coach young men to be sick bastards like ourselves, and we feel like it's this initiation ritual. Like it's a lot of older guys like in their 30s that'll like involve themselves in like trying to help procure sex for younger guys, like 16-year-olds, or inviting them places they shouldn't be and stuff like that. Where it's like, I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure that at 16 years old, that Usher saw somebody eating a cock meat sandwich. And that's not okay. It's not okay, but I'm 100% sure, bro, that Usher was in the room and was probably invited to participate in an orgy. And Usher's a 16-year-old kid. He's like, fuck yeah, I want to be in this. My whole life. Because when you're a 16-year-old kid, you know, you're just really horny and you want, like, that's the thing about teenagers. This is why, like, people go, well, she wanted it. Like, she's 15, bro. She's 15. She's supposed to think you're hot because you're at that age where, like, you think adults are hot because you're growing up and you're getting older and you're beginning to appreciate adults for being hot. Like, a 15-year-old kid is supposed to think a hot 25-year-old is hot. The hot 25-year-old is supposed to want nothing to do with the 15-year-old kid. So when a teacher gets caught fucking a young dude, and it's like, yo, well, like, I mean, he wanted it and she ain't really hurt him, and this, and the third, shut up. Somebody has to be there for the babies. Somebody has to protect them. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a hero. Probably not. But I'm just saying, we're far too comfortable with these things, and as men, we got some weird coming of age stuff. We got weird uncles. Your weird Uncle Diddy is taking you away from your family for a few weeks to like learn music and be in this camp. What is this camp? What is Camp Diddy? What is happening behind closed doors? Justin Bieber looks like a wet fucking dog. Whenever he's next to Diddy, he's shivering, he's shaking, and his body language is just terrible. Like the video of Diddy pulling up, and 15-year-old Justin Bieber or some like really young version of Justin Bieber is like having an interview, and Diddy pops out of the fucking corner like a supervillain, talking about, hey, yeah, you've been avoiding me, huh? What the fuck are you talking? Where are you gonna meet him? Where are you hanging out that Justin Bieber would be at? Why are you trying so desperately to get a hold of Justin Bieber? But it was twofold, because it's like this, you can kind of tell this is how Diddy exerts his power over people. Justin's like fucking stammering. He's trying to get the, well, you know, you got my people's number, but you never really got my number. And this and the third. He didn't want to talk to you, Puff. He didn't want to talk to you because you're weird and you're strange and you made him feel weird stuff. And you probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, you probably had him engaging in some, and this is too much. This is conjecture. This is too much. This is conjecture. This is conjecture. I will not speculate on what Diddy may or may not have done to Justin Bieber's young white butt. But I do think that when you look at these things, it's a pattern of negative behavior. And I do think that Diddy came up in a time in rap and hip hop and that whole world, and even R&B. And if you talk about what happened with some of the boy bands and all that shit, listen, it's been the music business in general has been a very, very, very strange very exploitative industry. And when I say exploitative, I don't just mean financially. I mean, there's a reason that the common analogy is that is of selling souls, right? That's not what I'm saying is really happening, because I don't buy into that type of shit. But the metaphor is very strong there, where like, if you think about what the metaphor of selling your soul means, that is what people have been asked to do in the music industry for a very long fucking time. Like, hey, you have values. Hey, you have self-respect. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. You want hits. You want a nice apartment. You want jewelry. You want to feel like you mean something. And this is entertainment at large. This is entertainment at large. The entire country has, like, women around the country, young women around the country have Marilyn Monroe plastered across their walls. You know what I see when I look at pictures of Marilyn Monroe? I don't see self-actualization. I don't see achieving your dreams. I see pain. I see heartbreak. I see being taken advantage of and passed the fuck around. One minute you're jumping out of a cake for the president, and the next minute his brother's telling you to stay away from him because you're a whore and you're gonna ruin his marriage. Like, that's a little unfair. John F. Kennedy was doing a great job ruining his fucking marriage way before Marilyn Monroe came. And guess what? It couldn't be ruined because Jackie was cool. I don't know what was going on. I know Jackie had a little thing going on too, but listen, apparently he found the right woman to do all that shit to, because Jackie was there till the bitter end. Jackie was there till the bitter end. It was what it was, right? And it would have been her choice to stop. But like, all I'm saying is Marilyn Monroe has been dragged through the ringer. Her life, it doesn't feel like a happy one. I think she was fucking adopted. Like, not to say that can't be a happy story. I just don't think it was for her. I think she learned very early that, like, you know, if you want attention from people, most of us don't even know how Marilyn Monroe really looked. I don't even think she was really blonde. I gotta look into that because I could be wrong. I don't even think she was blonde. Right? We talking about Norma Jean. Do you think Norma Jean would tell you she had a wonderful experience in the entertainment industry? She died alone, overdosed on barbiturates. Okay? That is not how happy people die. That you die very happy when that happens, because it's really, really fun to be high. And so, like, I always say when people overdose, like, at least they died doing what they loved. And it's a terrible thing to say, but at least they died happier than I am. Like that's something. That is something. And Marilyn Monroe died in some of the most sad, tragic circumstances, but at least she was fucking happy for that little iota, that little piece of time. But do you think happy people die alone in a hotel room from an overdose? Is that what you think's happened? That's not what happens. Like, this is not fun for a lot of the people involved. It's only fun for some people. And a lot of the fun these people are having is depraved. C.P. Diddy. Terrible fucking guy. Terrible guy. And I think he's going down. I don't know that. I don't know that to be true. I think Puff Daddy's going down, though. But I do think that when we have these conversations, what we're going to try to do now is we're going to try to throw P. Diddy away with the bathwater and go, look how bad that guy was. Look how terrible that guy was. When we need to be saying, yes, terrible guy, but how terrible is this whole entire thing? How deep does the rabbit hole go? And I'm not going to ask these questions, because when you ask these questions by yourself, you disappear. So I won't be asking these questions, because I have people that I love and that love me, and they want to see me again. And y'all don't want to ask these questions with me. And when y'all do, y'all get too crazy. It gets a little too conspiracy for me, because there's a conspiracy here. There's 100% a conspiracy here. And there's all kinds of nasty stuff involved. It's covered in baby oil and cheesecake. It's a really bad thing that's happening, but I can't go there alone. And I don't want to because then I'm going to go there with y'all, and somebody's going to be like, yeah, and he's taking kids and sacrificing them to the evil demon Moloch. And see, Ashley gets it. And like, I can't go there with y'all. I can't, but I can say it is a conspiracy. It's terrible. And you know who knows the most about this type of shit? It's going to come out of left field. Mike fucking Tyson. Mike Tyson knows a lot, man, because I think he used to be on the inside. I think Mike Tyson was a nasty nigga. I mean, I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus, especially a fellow black man, whatever the fuck that means. But, hey, who's got a rape charge? Mike's got a rape charge. Okay, no. He does. Maybe you didn't know that. You probably did. Maybe you're young, though, and you didn't know that. Right? Same with Pac. Listen, I'm not saying I think Pac did that shit. I'm just saying there's certain niggas who we never bring up caught a rape charge. I don't know why. Listen, how do you want it? How does it feel? Like, Pac should be slapping. Mike Tyson, that's Iron Mike, knocking nigga out in 40 seconds flat. We know this. But when you put the trivia there, you also got to be like, caught a rape charge. I'm not here to tell you Mike Tyson did that shit, although I 100%. Listen, the Tupac thing, we can put it up in the air. You can feel how you want to feel about that one. I won't tell nobody how to feel. But I remember the type of nigga Mike was, all right? I was born in 96, so I'm not saying that, like, I was watching TV and I was this and I was that and I was there for most of the Mike shit. I was not. But I remember the legend of Mike Tyson, okay? Mike Tyson, quote, I believe he told somebody that he would feast on their children. I don't know what the reporter said to him, but he said he would eat this guy's fucking kids. Pause. But he ain't even mean it like that. He meant he would eat this person's fucking kids. Mike Tyson used to do so much fucking cocaine. I don't think Mike Tyson could tell you where he spent 40% of the 80s and 90s. I'm serious. I don't think he could tell you where he was. Mike Tyson was on a lot of cocaine. A lot. And he was a real broken guy. When you hear the way Mike Tyson talks about his past, it's terrifying. Like he sounds like being him was terrifying for him. It's like, I used to wake up every day and like, I used to want to kill niggas. Like, it's like, that's a terrible experience, a terrible way to be. I don't want to go back to being a monster. Cause I know I could be a monster and sometimes I just want to grab a puppy and squeeze. Like, that's the type of nigga Mike Tyson is. He's a scary guy. And he's got a rape charge. The world is a scary place, and men who are broken individuals, and there's stories of Puff going back to like Howard or Morehouse, where the fuck he was at. There's stories of him being an incredibly aggressive, difficult person to be around, perhaps with some tendencies towards women that are less than reputable, right? Like, not the kind of guy you would want your son to be. Right? Like, just this is what's happening out here, and I don't want Puff Daddy to be the reason that we don't look at it anymore. I don't want Puff Daddy to be the reason that we just go, okay, we got him out of here, now we can breathe easy. Like, no, you have to watch the way that we give these people power in our lives, and the way that we're not willing to confront and question certain things like exploitative industries that create Puff Daddies and create Weinsteins. Harvey Weinstein, like, this is what this is. Bill Cosby. Oh my God. And I knew about Bill Cosby forever. I remember like going to school and my mom would listen to Wendy Williams, and Wendy Williams would sometimes just report on the fact that, like, yo, people were accusing Bill Cosby of raping them. And this is what was going on in the streets, and Bill Cosby and everybody's America's dad. Shut the fuck up. That's not my dad. What is wrong with you, nigga? America's dad? Bill Cosby didn't raise you. What the fuck is happening? Listen, life is incredible. And Bill Cosby's outside. They fucked something up and they had to let that nigga go. You know how sick God is that Bill Cosby is free? Like, do you know how upset Jesus is right now that Bill Cosby is walking around free? Like, it's a terrible situation right now in these streets. And the Diddy situation was unavoidable. right? Like, I felt like I had to talk about it, but I felt like, I'm a clown. I'm an idiot. I'm a fool. I'm nobody's. Like, I shouldn't be the voice of anything. And I think we all know that. But for me, the Diddy situation is just like, this is about power and wealth and these exploitative industries. And the reason that a lot of us who need to check ourselves are seeking power and wealth. There's a lot of motherfuckers out here. Who have wanted a lot of money and a lot of fame and a lot of power for a long time. And the reason that they wanted it was so that they could kick it, just like how Diddy is about to go to jail forever for kicking it like. All right. And like I said, it's nothing. I support all the freaky shit. If you and 8 other consenting adults want to all have sex with each other in an orgy fashion, like an orgy-like fashion, that's dope, dude. Do what makes you fucking happy. But watch that you're not trampling over other people's autonomy in the process. Watch that you're not being extremely creepy. Like, if you find yourself jogging down a hallway in a towel, gingerly on your way to beat your girlfriend's ass, you should stop and question things. You might be a bad guy. P. Diddy might have been a bad guy. I don't know. I don't make the rules. But I don't think we're going to see him again. And if we do, I think it'll be a testament to the lack of consequence that powerful, famous, wealthy men can expect to face. It feels like every now and again, one of them gets like thrown to the fire where it's like, all right, we gave y'all one now. Yeah, like, all right, we gave y'all one now. Let the rest of us operate in peace. I can't be the guy that says that. I can't be the guy that tells y'all what's going on because I don't know. All I know is I'll never be able to go take that again. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've lost in all this is my ability to drop Diddy lines randomly. Because it's not funny anymore. It's not. It's just not. So Diddy was a nasty guy. I'm happy he's locked up. Never been the biggest fan of his anyway. Can we even Diddy bop anymore? These are questions. I don't know. We definitely can't call it that no more. But it's election season. And I think that I thought that I just want to say that the year that Trump was first elected, it broke me. I think I was in college. I think it was like my freshman or sophomore year in college. I don't remember. It had to be because it was like 2016. That shit broke me in a lot of ways. It broke my faith in the political system. It kind of broke, but I think it was in a good way. It was very important for me to see because like we've had clownish people occupying pretty significant, powerful positions. I don't know if we've had anybody as kind of like undignified as Donald Trump, right? But like I think we've had some pretty clownish people occupying some pretty high offices. But the country is so divided, right? And has been so divided for such a long time. And it's not like Trump started the division. I think this is where it was always going. If you look at the shit show that cable news has been for the longest, and if you look at where politics is going in general, it's this really, really, really clandestine fuckery bullshit, super PACs and dark money groups and just absolute fucking nonsense that any outsider looking in could be like, that seems terrible for democracy. Like, what? Like, so let me get this straight. So like the whole fucking point of trying to have some kind of responsibility and accountability to the American public is that if you're making major donations to a political campaign, then we need to know who the donors are. But if you're a nonprofit, then we don't need to know where the money's coming from, and then we don't need to know where the donors are, and then everybody just funnels their money through that type of shit, and that way we don't have to fucking know. So what's the point of knowing? Right? So then this nonprofit organization can then donate to a super PAC, which is like, it has the ability, because somewhere along the line, people decided that money was speech, which is like one of those things where it's like, okay, this is like this things where like corporations get treated like real people and stuff. It's like, where it's like, I guess if I squint, I can see where you could make a legal argument for some fuckery like that, but in practice, I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't understand who thinks that money should equal speech, and that should, so therefore, if you have an unlimited right to speak, you should have an unlimited amount to finance. I'm not even saying that I think that, I don't know. Should there be a cap on how much you can finance campaigns and this, that, and the third? Probably, but I don't know. Like, I can't tell you that for sure, but I can tell you that when you coded in some weird shit, like, we don't have to know where the money's coming from, and like, money is speech, like, then it becomes weird. I feel like there's some trickery and some fuckery going on there. But I say all that to say that, I think that I've went through several stages of grief with the political system that I think a lot of young people go through, and that leaves a lot of disillusioned young people that unfortunately don't see a need to perform their civic duty, which I have not quite gotten to that point yet. I don't think I ever will. Like, I believe in the effectiveness of democracy. I also believe that democracy is not always being performed here, but the country has been so divided in so many ways, and I don't know if social media, like, I don't know how much social media, I know it's corroding us. I know it's making us worse. I don't know how bad it is. Like, and it's gotten to a point where, like, there's like, I'm on X a fair amount, and like, I'm seeing a lot of Nazi shit. Like, I'm seeing a lot of like just overt racism, and I know the internet's been like that. I know forum culture. I know, like, you can pretty much go anywhere at any point in time in the internet, and some group of people are being extremely fucking racist. Like, I know that, but it's getting to a point where I don't know what people believe anymore. Like, I don't know what people are saying that they don't actually believe. I don't know what's nonsense and what's not. And I think a lot of the American public doesn't either. And that's a very dangerous place to exist, because at the end of the day, we all like to make fun of the fake news, this, fake news, that shit. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to understand and ascertain the truth. And it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough landscape to try to navigate right now. And we're getting to a point where I don't know if you can continue to, not to quote Trump, but some things you can kind of argue maybe there are good people on both sides. You absolutely could not argue that for whatever the fuck Trump was saying it about, right? But like, you want to believe that in a democracy, right? Like, you want to get to a point where everybody has like the best interests of the nation at heart. And I don't think that's, I genuinely can't say that I think that's the case, but there's a lot of people that I think are being spoon-fed nonsense. And I think we exist in this weird land, like this weird landscape, like, and then you have like double agent weirdos like Joe Rogan, whose podcast I used to really enjoy. Back when it was kind of just like him shooting the shit with a bunch of different people, and I was like, damn, look at this, like, look who's talking this week, and look who's on Joe Rogan this week. And that was fun. And then it became like the biggest media thing really going, and it became weird, and it became nasty, and Joe Rogan has kind of become this weird right-wing guy who refuses to admit that he's right-wing, which I think is like kind of really dangerous, because he's kind of tries to present himself as a centrist, but I don't think he is one. And I think that the more you listen to him talk, the more he seems fairly conservative. But I also think that your average American is more conservative than they want to admit. Like, you can find the point. You can find somewhere where a lot of people just start jiving with conservative nonsense rhetoric. Right. But like Joe Rogan, like Kamala Harris didn't do a show, but Trump did. And Joe Rogan kind of always would talk like he was this sensible person, and like he didn't think he should have this much power and influence. But then, she doesn't come on the podcast, and he's kind of lightweight trying to bully her into coming, or trying to act like she's hiding something from the American people. Like, since when did the presidential candidate have to go on your fucking show, dude? You're a washed up comedian. You're not. Like, yeah, you're the most successful podcaster to ever walk the planet, and you're one of the richest human beings alive. Sure, 110%. But, like, who the fuck are you outside of that? Why should anybody care whether or not Kamala Harris is willing to come on your show? And then, it gets weird. It gets weird, right? Like, the podcast Twitter account, X account, calls her a choke artist for not coming. Now you're insulting her? That's weird. And then Joe Rogan, who's said he wouldn't endorse people and has been very hesitant to endorse people and has acted like he's been critical of Trump in the past. But if you notice, his position on Trump seems to have softened greatly, and he seems to kind of be a Trump guy. Came out today and officially endorsed Donald Trump. Right? Like in typical stoner, washed up comedian fashion, he's incredibly late. That would have probably meant much more 30 days ago, but it might not have, because I don't think anybody didn't know that Joe Rogan was leaning towards Trump and was like a kind of just becoming this right-wing weirdo who doesn't want to admit that he's right-wing. Everybody wants to be fucking centrist now. It's the coolest thing in the world. Anna Kasparian is like being weird and like leaning centrist, and it's like I've outgrown the Young Turks. But I used to listen to Young Turks a lot, like around like when they like first really started getting good and like getting big, like probably 2010, when I was like, what was I in 2010? Probably 14 years old. I was born in 96, so in 2010 I was like 14 years old. No, I think I was listening to them like 2012 or something like that, because this was around my junior year, I think, is when I really started listening to Young Turks regularly, and like consuming their stuff on YouTube. And these guys were like these beacons of like progressive leftist thought. Now, obviously, I go back and I know that I was wrong about that. They weren't necessarily that. They were just, I was a young person and I was getting access to this content, and it was my introduction into politics. And I'm a left-leaning person, and they were espousing a lot of things that jive with my worldview. And they were right about a lot of shit. Right? I don't want to take that away from them, but like, even them, like, there's like right-wing conservatism that kind of jives with them, and perhaps there's like stuff that the Conservative Party stands for that is like pretty dope, that like maybe I jive with. I don't know, I just haven't found it yet. I don't fucking know. I think that it's pretty, it's like a lake of poison at this point. What's coming out of the extreme right wing, and I think it's poisoning that entire side of the country. This is not to absolve, the left. This is not to act like there's no issues on the left. This is not like, listen, this is not to act like the majority of the politicians on the left aren't full of shit too. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a right. It's like a right and a wrong way to fuck me over. And I think that the conservatives are doing it the wrong way, and I legitimately think that they're far more dangerous for humanity at large, and that they're going to set us back. Again, this is not the point to anybody on the left as some kind of fucking savior, but I do think that if you look at history, I forget where I get this quote from, but I think that if you look at history is often on the side of progressiveness. Like, it is. Like, what is considered progressive at any point in time in history, like if you go 2,000 years from then, is generally on the right side of like where we're supposed to go. Now, granted, that has to do with what I think like conservatism is by nature, which is like, kind of adhering to a lot of different status quos, and status quos involve power structures, right? And when the conservative side of things is like, hey, you guys aren't fucking people and you live to serve us. And then like the other one is like, oh, we have human rights. Like, yeah, that makes like total sense. Where it's like, yeah, of course, history's on the side of progressivism as like people are enslaved and dying and don't have human fucking rights, right? Like, of course. But I do think that we're not all the way there yet. I still think that history will err on the side of progressivism, and it is generally true progressivism, not like American leftism or this and the third, not like something that is totally tied down to where you are and partisanship, right? But just what progressivism is inherently, and what the foundation of it is when we talk about people and society in general. I think we're in a scary place, because that seems to clearly be the right choice, but there are people who are being mobilized with some real like old school fucking tactics, some real old school propaganda tactics, who are being mobilized to act in what I think is against the best interest of humanity at large. And it's largely based on like fear mongering and traditionalism and things of that nature. And I don't know who's gonna win. I know you never know who's gonna win, but now, as we're close, I'm recording this on the 4th, as we're closer and closer to the election, I don't fucking know. I can't call it. I can't call it. I don't know who's going to win. I'm fully prepared for Trump to win. Because something tells me that the bottom has not fallen out enough. Something tells me that this has to get worse before it gets better, and that's going to be terrible, and it's going to be our fault that it has to get worse before it gets better. And listen, if there's anybody listening here who's like, damn, nah, I didn't come here for this. Why is this guy like, I kind of like Trump? Yo, listen. I'm not going to tell you while you're listening to the show that I want you to listen to go fuck yourself. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you not to listen if you support Trump. Because I have self-interest in you listening. I don't, you know what I'm saying? But you got to respect how I feel when I'm coming here and how I'm willing to discuss it. I just think that we're in a very, very, very strange place. And yes, I'm terrified. I don't think that... I think we're going to break this thing. Elon Musk. I don't know what the fuck Elon Musk is doing. I don't know when he became like, I always kind of had the thing, you know, because we make these people. First of all, I think Joe Rogan said something like the honorable and great Elon Musk or some shit like this. Like, we need to get Elon Musk's dick out of our mouths as a society and a collective. It's terrible. It is disgusting the way, like, people just dick ride Elon Musk, and I get it. Like, he is definitely really, really good at positioning himself to stand for some things that are really, really cool and like important to humanity, I suppose. But like, that's what he does. He puts a sticker of his face on shit that really doesn't have anything to fucking do with him outside of him providing the financial backing for it. Like, you know how many people I've heard like that I respect, like, say positive things about Elon Musk, and I wonder if they'd say it now. Obviously, the people who are conservative in that way and like are totally buying into all the nonsense he's been doing now around this time, especially regarding the Trump campaign, which is all a troll act, by the way. Elon Musk, who has always leaned left, and like all of a sudden, when the left insults him, is like running to Daddy Trump, who's fucking flamed, who's flame broiled and baked Elon, and just said crazy fucked up shit about Elon Musk. Because that's the other thing about Trump, is like, he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and then when it becomes clear that like he's probably the gravy train, everybody just forgets what he said. Like, he called some nigga's wife ugly, and I'm pretty sure that guy like has been pretty amicable with him. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bro, if you get on stage and you call my wife ugly, I don't think that like we can be civil. Like, I'm not saying I gotta do violence to you, but I just don't think I can be civil about you. And he's got moments like that with with a lot of his constituents, and nobody seems to give a fuck. But Elon Musk in particular is like this big Trump fanboy, and it's like honestly being really, really embarrassing. And who's not like, I don't want to be the guy to say this, but like, he's not really American, right? Like, Elon Musk is like, like maybe he's a citizen. I don't know. Like, I don't know at this point, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not the one that has a problem with foreigners, but is this not a foreigner? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I'm cool, let him in. But some of the people that he's found himself like in cahoots with, I don't even think they really wanted you to be here, bro. But some of them did, because, you know, you contribute to the economy and you're a high powered capitalist, and all of a sudden there's room for you at the table. But that was my long form way of saying that I don't understand much of any of what's going on in the world or the country right now. But that I do think we're standing on a precipice. And as this episode is going to come out probably on the 5th, and some people might listen to it because there's only 4 of you, but some people might listen to it after the election. I wanted to offer a little bit of reality, a little bit of my thought. I'm by no means a professional, or an analyst or anything like that. And I'm still working hard to educate myself, so that maybe one day I could, you know, have some real poignant and thought-provoking things to say about the way this country is run, outside of the things that are to me obvious, that I would like to see changed, or that I don't understand, or that I think is nonsense. But I did my part. I think I just waxed for like 20 minutes about that shit, and there was other stuff that was supposed to be talked about, right? But I'm just not sure how we parse through what we're seeing right now in this country. The lines have been drawn in the sand. And people seem to be dug in to to whatever it is that they have chosen to believe about the world, about the other side, and listen, perhaps a lot of what we think about each other is true. Perhaps a lot of it is nonsense, engineered by what social media has done to our brains, engineered by sensationalist media, engineered by celebrity worship, and everything that is just destroying our psyches, engineered by internalized racism and misogyny, and things that we thought were well on the way, and perhaps we still are. And again, like, I don't know how much of what you see out there on social media is to be believed, but I know Trump was elected before, right? I know that Trump is in the thick of the presidential race right now. I know that people are getting bolder and bolder, and there are people who occupy pretty serious positions within media who are willing to say and act in ways that would confound you if you considered yourself a decent person. But the meaning of what a decent person has changed greatly and significantly. And I think we will all come to a reckoning as far as that's concerned. But in lighter news, I know I told y'all that I was going to start One Piece, reading it. I did not start watching it because I consider my time precious, and I simply won't. But I know they're going to come out with a remake. And so, like, I'll wait on that because it's supposed to have better pacing and whatnot. And I prefer to read the manga than to watch anime for most things anyway. I will do it. Like, right now I'm watching Vinland Saga because I haven't had a chance to read it, and I really wanted to get into it and see what it was about. And I'll still read the manga when I can. But, you know, there's things I haven't read Attack on Titan. I've watched it, right? Like, there's things that I have, you know, seen the anime and not necessarily read the manga yet. I always plan to, but there's things I haven't gotten around to yet. But I'm like 700 chapters into One Piece, and I gotta say, picking up One Piece has probably been the most rewarding and the best choice that I've made as far as manga, maybe in my entire life. I mean, like, because Dragon Ball was kind of handed to me. Like, it was like, I don't know how much of a choice that was. It was like, yeah, it was my choice to dive deeper into it than my peers. But at the same time, like, it didn't really feel like I could have I don't think I could have went my whole life without getting bitten by the Dragon Ball bug. But, like, I didn't start reading One Piece until I was like 27. Like, I could have reasonably just been like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Right? And, like, something made me decide to check it out. It just, you know, like, I think you see the right TikTok, you watch the right video essay, and you're just like, let me see what this is about. Ain't no way it's what they talking about. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously good. And I'm always stricken by how much you know, the authors of these manga can pack in to like, I'm always surprised at how much mythology and just like messaging can be packed into some of these creations that they make, and especially that largely a lot of it is just coming from the mind of one person. But One Piece seems to just be a treasure trove of history about the world in general, and from like mythology and Japanese stuff to like obscure things about piracy in general, or about the way the world works. And that's what I find too to be a common thread in a lot of and like, I'm usually shocked by like the level of you know, the level of kind of just resonance and like understanding of the human condition that a lot of these manga artists seem to have, and a lot of how much of the work speaks to like core truths of like humanity. Like a certain series about a samurai with an X-shaped scar that I don't know if it's okay to talk about in public anymore. But you know, I just think that as creatives, a lot of the people that are behind these things are really, really, really in tune. And just, it's been wonderful to see Oda's attention to detail and his historical knowledge And much, one thing I just did not expect when I started One Piece was how much it would have to say about the world around us. I didn't expect it to be that. I didn't expect it to have such profound things to say about the human condition and about truth and about abuse of power and freedom. And I could not have expected it. And again, like, I just feel like pound for pound, it is the most rewarding manga that I have chosen to read. However, I had to take a break. I had to take like a month-long break from reading because I really powered through like that 700 or something chapters. It's like I'm in the middle of the Doflamingo arc right now. Like, towards the end of it, I think the big fight between Luffy and Doflamingo is coming up. But like, I haven't seen like Snake Man or any of those things that I know are coming. That I know like are like, I think, big parts of the Doflamingo fight. So, but yeah, no, One Piece has been incredibly rewarding to read. I did recently go back and finish Bleach, by the way. Like, I went and started. That's the other thing. Like, it's not like I haven't been doing anything. Like, I had to take a break from One Piece because I was just like, yo, that shit is dead. It's dense. It's dense. And I like to reread things that I think are very impactful. And so, like, I'm like, all I keep thinking while I'm reading this shit is like, I'm gonna have to read this again. What the fuck? Because I'll know when I have to read something again, like whether it's a book or a comic book or manga is a comic book, but like whatever it is, or a movie that I know I gotta watch again, or a show will give me that feeling. Because a movie is just like, you sit down, you watch it. If you want to watch it again, it's like a 2-hour thing. But like a long show, like I'm about to rewatch a Stranger Things, after a rewatch a Snowfall, like just like this, you're watching something and you're like, oh damn, I have to watch this again. I gotta watch Attack on Titan again. I gotta watch Vinland Saga again. Like, this is real shit, right? Like, it's tough when you really care, because I try to consume things in a way that satisfy me. I get a lot personally from consuming things and indulging in art, especially like books, stories, comics, whatever, video games. But like, I get a lot from it personally. It just makes me happy. It's something to do with my brain to challenge myself. And that's my whole thing with One Piece is like, oh my God, I gotta watch this again. I gotta read this again. Like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, I'm watching video essays on it all the time. I'm watching character breakdowns, and like I said, it's just been incredibly rewarding. And I think it's one of the great epics that has ever been produced. All right, what I gave y'all, longer than I thought I was gonna give y'all. So, first episode, Back Falling in the Forest. I think it was rough. I think this was probably a tough listen. I was finding myself again. I'm sure people shut this off halfway through because they were just like, I'm not listening to this idiot, and I respect that. And if you're still here, I apologize. I apologize for doing that to you. But hopefully y'all stick with us. With me. And we're back to putting these out weekly. If there's anybody that used to listen that's gonna listen now, I appreciate you for sticking around and still feeling like checking out and seeing what I'm up to. I hope the political talk didn't turn anybody off, but also I think I'm far too old not to be honest with people about how I feel. And hopefully I'm compelling enough to listen to talk, even if you think that I'm full of shit. Faf, nigga.